Hello, everyone. I am Lily Mae, and welcome to the Top Voices of 2026 podcast series presented by hervisibility.com. If this is your first time tuning in, I encourage you to visit hervisibility.com to grab my freebie that teaches you how to take your expertise and turn it into income. Today, we have Miss Sierra, who is Miss Maryland Corporate America. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are.
Thank you so much, first of all, for having me as a guest. I know it's been a long time coming, and I'm so glad to be here. And I am a woman that wears many hats. As you said, I am Miss Maryland Corporate America. I am a caregiver by trade for the last almost 17 years, HR executive for 17 years. And then I also own my own business, Rose HR, where I help small to medium sized businesses find virtual assistants so they can kind of get out of that monotony of the day to day task. And then I also am starting Caregiver Competence Academy because a lot of times, just like myself, when I became a family caregiver, I had nowhere to turn to and I knew no one that was a caregiver. So I want to be able to provide this resource and tools for other individuals that happen to be in there in this predicament overnight. So, and then last but not least, I'm also a host of the Bottom Line Is podcast.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Multifaceted woman. So tell us what keeps you grounded when everything feels like it's moving fast.
My friends, they will. I think it's very important to have a good support system around you. And I have what I call my day ones, my group of five that when I am I call it extra, they will reel me back in and just give me that reality check. And that's what you need in your life. Some of us have so-called friends that just tell us what we want to hear and not tell us what we need to hear to make ourselves better, to be able to grow, because I'm not always right. And I need somebody to bring me back down if I'm doing too much essentially.
I love that. I mean, we definitely have to have our support system, whether it's friends or family, because it does feel like life is speeding up for everyone and the days are
Yep.
going by so quickly. And when you have multiple things that you're doing, like you shared, you definitely need that rock and that source that can anchor you during those times. Now, I know that you've centered, your pageant win around caregiver advocacy. Why is that important to you and so personal to you?
Well, like I said, I've been a caregiver for 17 years, and it all started. My grandmother fell, and my great grandmother, excuse me. And when she fell, I found myself in the hospital, and people were just asking me questions. And I didn't realize that several years prior to that, when I was even in high school, and she had a stroke, she was like, "Oh, I was waiting on you to come," and I was like, I don't drive. How was I supposed to get here? Oh, because I need you to do X, Y, and Z, and just being groomed for that role. I just never knew. But, essentially, a lot of people, and I think of it from the elderly perspective, because you can be a caregiver for anyone, children, people with any type of disability, etc. But from a caregiver as an elderly person, for an elderly person, they don't have anybody to speak up for them. So many things are changing in the world. There's so many new laws. A lot of them are low income and they don't have anybody to speak up for them or be able to provide or find resources because the world doesn't say, oh, well, we have this, we have that out here and make it known. You literally have to go find it under a rock or get the information by word of mouth. And so the support planner tells me all the time, I wish more people had an advocate like you because, I keep pushing until I feel like my loved one is getting what they deserve. They worked all year, excuse me, not all year, but all their lives to get this far and to not be treated fairly when they get in that stage of life, to me, is just ridiculous. So anything that I can do for not just my loved ones, but for anyone, just being that voice of reason for them.
Yes, and I applaud you for taking on the role of being a caregiver because I know that that is no easy feat at all. In addition to that, you also have a podcast. Okay, so tell us, about your podcast and what you cover and what people can kind of look forward to when they tune in.
So the concept of my podcast, I tell people to think about when, you have a good friend that sometimes you might not talk on the phone every day or see each other every day. But when you say, hey, girl, let's go out to happy hour. When you're at happy hour, you're going to talk about your relationship, whether you're dating, you're married. You're going to talk about what's going on in your life, health wise, your career, etc. And so I essentially think of the bottom line is everybody coming to sit down with me for a happy hour And we're covering all of those different things that you talk about with your good girlfriends while being vulnerable and transparent, talking about situations that we may not talk about out loud, that some people may be afraid to, but just kind of addressing it head on. And I love to end every episode with the bottom line is, because that's something that is a fact that's going to stay with you. And that's something that my mom would say to me all the time. To this day, forgetting that that's the name of my podcast, she'll
Mhm.
always say, well, the bottom line is you need to do X, Y, and Z. And so
Mhm.
that's what I try to communicate with my viewers as well.
I love that. How can people tune in? Where can they find it?
So you can go to Instagram at CECTHEDIVA. That's my Instagram that has my link tree, so you can get the links there. But we are on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube under The Bottom Line Is.
Awesome. And are you accepting guests or do you select friends as guests or how does that work? If anyone's like, oh, I want to be on her podcast, is that a possibility?
Yes, we welcome any and everyone with a story. And I am getting ready to start season 3, which I am so excited. I'm rebranding and I'm just excited. I had the gift of gab and I love to share it with everyone. And I got so much feedback the first 2 seasons from people hearing about the different topics that we had. Everybody said how interesting they were and how it helped them. And that's that motivation that you need sometimes when things get rough to keep on going. So I love that. And I'm excited for season 3.
I love that. I love that. So, in addition to the podcast, you founded Rose HR and Caregiver Compass Academy. I think I said that
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to create those businesses and what gaps in the marketplace did you see that made you say, this is what I need to do?
So I definitely, my mission is to help people in life, no matter what it is. Even as an HR director, I just love to step out of that role and just be able to be a human to our employees. And with Rose HR, many business owners of the small and medium sizes, they feel like they have to do it all alone. And I know I'm guilty of that. But then eventually you get to a spot where I'm burned out and I've reached my plateau of I'm not able to grow because I'm not able to focus on the strategy and true growth of the business. I've only been able to take it so far. And with the help of a virtual assistant that helps with that day-to-day scheduling, dealing with emails, handling phone calls, expenses, all of those things, then you really can go out there and hit the ground running and networking and trying to get people to know more about your business, or they can handle the social media aspects as well. And then same thing with the Caregiver Compass Academy. I've met so many people along my journey that have asked me like, "Oh, you do this so well." And I said, "Well, it didn't come easy. I mean, I worked hard at it. I used to time myself to get my grandmother up before I went into work, or navigating on how to have discussions with the doctors, or how to find the right home health aid so I could feel okay to be able to get away, or to be able to go to work for 8 hours and be able to manage that, because I still have to work." So there's a lot of dynamics there. And again, sometimes, a lot of times, it's very new to people and they really just don't know what to do or where to find resources, such as financial resources as well.
I love that. It sounds like when you notice that there's a gap in any area, you're willing to step forward and fill it. And so I think those services are much, much needed. I had a similar kind of scare with a family member where we kind of entered into a caregiving role unexpectedly. It was like overnight, and it was very
Yes.
overwhelming to keep notes of what the doctor said and the prescriptions and what she can't do, what she can do, and take her to all the appointments and pay the bills. It's a lot. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, people do this, like people caregive every day. And this is, a lot. So I'm glad you have created something to support people in that.
Yeah, and I never hear a lot of grandchildren
Mhm.
actually being that main person. Usually it's always the child for the elderly
Mhm.
person that takes the role, or a sibling as
Mhm.
well. So I'm here to help support for my fellow grandchildren that are,
Yeah.
rocking it
Right,
because
right. So,
sacrifice.
so
Because, oh,
I
go ahead. I'm
love
sorry.
that. No, 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 it's okay. No, I love, like I said, that you've created that support because people definitely need it. I think when things like
Mhm.
that happen, it catches everyone off guard. People are really not prepared for that. You're just going about your day to day, and then something happens to a family member, and you have to immediately get into that role. So I love that you've created something to support people and help them through that. So let us know, what's next for you and how viewers can stay connected to everything you have going on.
Yep. So what's next for me is getting ready for season 3 of The Bottom Line Is. the rollout of Caregiver Compass Academy, which that website is www.caregivercompassacademy.com. Uh, and then also, sadly, my official reign is coming to an end in March. We are having our 2026 Miss Corporate America Maryland pageant on March 14th at 7 p.m. at the Bowie Performing Arts Center. And I would love for everyone that's watching, if you can support, you can watch virtually, you can come in person, getting a ticket, and watch me support the next 2026 Miss Maryland Corporate America.
Yes, yes, yes. So, ladies, viewers, make sure you stay connected with her. I'm sure there are only bigger and better things to come. I love that you're so ambitious and that you're allowing yourself to be multifaceted because a lot of times women have multiple gifts, but they're scared to, pursue it all. So, I applaud you for
Yes.
being a multifaceted woman that's showing up in all of her gifts because it gives other women permission to do the same. So, thank you so much for, joining me today and sharing your voice and sharing what you do. Again, for those of you who are tuned in for the first time, I am Lily Mae, creator of the Glambitious brand, and my goal is to amplify women around the country, around the world. So if you're interested in tapping into the things that we have going on, head over to theglamceo.com. We're excited to bring an event to Martha's Vineyard this summer, another event to Essence Festival, and we invite you to be a panelist, a speaker, or even join us virtually. So just stay connected by subscribing at theglamceo.com. And thank you for tuning in to the top voices of 2026. Bye.